Enough with acting like the 49ers are some tired old promise that already ran out of juice. This offense that felt heavy in 2025 now has real speed, and that changes the entire shape of the field for Purdy, Evans, Pearsall, and Kittle. But Santa Clara also has to keep its eyes open for a trade chance in the backfield, because contenders cannot afford to sleep at the wheel. And when Willie Colon tells the league to stop sleeping on this team, while Romello Height comes in to bring heat after Bryce Huff, the message is simple: subscribe. Because today we are bringing pressure. The point here is not to talk about speed like it is just some flashy off-season decoration. This is about accountability. A 49ers offense cannot look slow and stuck when Brock Purdy is running it, Kyle Shanahan is drawing it up, Christian McCaffrey is forcing respect inside, and George Kittle is ripping through the middle of the field. The 2025 season ended 12-5, yes, but nobody who really follows this team is going to pretend that looked like a championship standard. The schedule helped, the scoring barely lived near the top 10, and on too many Sundays the feeling was frustrating. A lot of good pieces, but not enough fear being forced into the defense. Now that missing ingredient starts to change. Stribling comes in early in the second round. Jacob Cowing was already in the building. And suddenly the Niners have two receivers who can threaten the back end of a defense in a way that makes a coordinator think twice before squeezing everything toward the line. They do not have to become 1,300-yard stars for this to matter. That is the part lazy people miss. Sometimes a player changes the game before he even touches the ball, just because the safety can no longer cheat downhill without paying for it. That is how explosive offenses created space last year. The Rams had Tutu Atwell and Xavier Smith. Seattle grew once Rashid Shaheed gave them that kind of role. And the opposite example is just as loud. New England reached the Super Bowl without that constant outside burst and struggled to separate against Seattle's secondary. The message for Santa Clara is brutally simple. If you want Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall, and Kittle working with leverage, stop asking them to win inside a phone booth. Evans, at 32 years old, did not come here to race kids in a straight line. He came to win with detail, body control, the sideline, and one-on-one matchups. And for those one-on-ones to show up, somebody has to push the coverage backward. That is where Stribling and Cowing become quiet weapons, but dangerous ones. Purdy does not need a circus. He needs space, clean reads, and a defense scared to make the wrong move. If this group stays healthy, the 49ers offense can finally stop looking heavy and start looking like what it should be: a machine with a blade, speed, and real pride. And if the 49ers are trying to make this offense faster on the outside, the backfield conversation needs to be just as aggressive. You cannot look at Christian McCaffrey, understand the weight he carries, remember this roster's recent history with physical wear and tear, and act like depth is just front office paperwork. Depth, for a team trying to chase a Super Bowl, is survival. It is a January plan. It is the difference between keeping your identity and becoming hostage to improvisation once the calendar starts charging interest. That is why the Kimani Vidal situation deserves wide-open eyes in Santa Clara. The connection still lives in the possibility lane, pushed by the Chargers situation after adding Omarion Hampton, but the logic makes too much sense to ignore. When a franchise invests in a young running back with future player weight, somebody behind him can lose room. And those are exactly the corners of the market where smart teams steal value before the price jumps. Vidal is not a national headline name. Good. Even better. Because the 49ers do not need to win a press conference in June. They need to win tough snaps in November and December. His profile fits what Kyle Shanahan knows how to use. Compact, physical, balanced, hitting the crease with urgency and not falling apart on first contact. That kind of runner can become a real problem in a zone offense. He presses the line, lets the blocking declare itself, and cuts north without making it complicated. That is the part that should have John Lynch restless on the phone. San Francisco does not need Vidal to threaten McCaffrey's spot. They need a real football player who can lighten the load, keep the defense honest, and step in without lowering the physical standard of the call. Because when McCaffrey comes off the field for a few snaps, the offense cannot apologize to the stadium. It has to keep biting. That type of move does not show up as a spectacle, but it shows up on the scoreboard later. A young back with the right traits, sitting on a roster that just added another strong piece, may be worth more to Shanahan than he is to his current team. And if the Niners are serious about rebuilding offensive burst and durability, Vidal is exactly the kind of name you monitor quietly. Not for the shine, for the fit, for the cost, for the chance to turn a hidden opportunity into contender ammunition. When somebody from outside looks at this roster and says out loud that the league needs to stop sleeping on the 49ers, I do not want to hear the fan base treating it like a polite compliment. That is danger being recognized. Willie Colon went on Good Morning Football and put his finger exactly where a lot of people keep trying to look away. This team is still heavy, still tough, still capable of winning on the road, still capable of beating you at home, and still built to flip the NFC upside down. And the reason that comment lands is because it is not fantasy. It is a former Super Bowl champion looking at a roster that added Mike Evans, Osa Odigizua, and Christian Kirk while still carrying Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa as pillars of a window that is not closed at all. The league can fake fatigue. It can say it has seen this movie before. It can push some trendy team into the middle of the table. But when the ball goes up, who really wants to see this group healthy in January? Colon called the Niners scrappy, said they find ways to win, and that word hits because it brings back identity. San Francisco was not built for pretty spreadsheet football. It was built to hit, adjust, survive, run, pressure, and turn ugly games into grown man wins. And after 3 Super Bowl losses since the last title, after so many trips to the NFC Championship, after so much almost, the standard cannot get lower. It has to get louder. Purdy being treated like a top 10 quarterback changes the conversation. Evans and Kirk bring experience to a reshaped receiver room. McCaffrey with another year in the system is still a nightmare. Kittle, Warner, and Bosa coming back hungry after physical issues the year before raises the temperature of the season. This is not only talent, this is urgency that has been building over time. And now I want to see where the faithful stand in the comments. Are you with Willie Colon on this? Or do you still need the league to see more before calling the 49ers a real Super Bowl contender? Because to me, the goal is not earning respect on a TV show. The goal is taking that respect, turning it into competitive anger, and finally bringing the Lombardi back to Santa Clara. And if the offense added speed to open up the field, the 49ers defense needed a similar answer in the trenches. Bryce Huff's retirement took a very specific type of threat off the roster. That light, explosive edge who forces the tackle to open his hips early and makes the quarterback feel rushed before the contact even arrives. Romello Height steps right into that conversation. Not as a perfect copy, because nobody should sell a rookie as an automatic fix, but as the clearest attempt to replace that immediate stress in the pass rush. Raheem Morris's point cuts straight through it. The value is not only in taking the quarterback down, it is in affecting the guy with the ball mentally and physically, closing space, getting to the spot, hitting the arm, forcing the pass to come out crooked, making the pocket feel smaller. That changes third down, changes play calling, changes the courage to attack deep. And when you already have Nick Bosa as a constant source of terror, adding another player with real get-off can turn isolated pressure into an avalanche. Chris Kocurek, based on what came out of individual drills, did not hide his excitement. And that matters because Kocurek does not need a pretty speech. He needs a body that can bend, accelerate, and attack with violent technique. Height, at 6'3" and 239 pounds, athletic, coming from a strong college defense, arrives cheap against the cap and with a real path to play. That detail is huge. Some rookies spend year 1 trapped on the bench. Height can have a role early because the need is there and the fit is there too. Recent history gives the bet some fuel. The third round is not a sentence for ordinary players. Byron Young exploded as a rookie with Raheem Morris. Jonathan Greenard grew in year 2. Alex Highsmith became a serious problem in Pittsburgh. And names like Justin Houston and Danielle Hunter show that a pass rusher outside the first round can turn into gold if he lands in the right situation. Situation is everything here. Height will not be the first name in the opponent's protection plan. Bosa and Myles Garrett pull attention. That is the space where a fast rookie can bite. The realistic scenario might look something like Jonah Ellis. 5 sacks, useful pressure, tackles for loss, impact in doses. The 49ers would take that with a smile. But the ceiling that should have Santa Clara restless is different. Height becoming that third piece that keeps opposing offenses from breathing. Because in January, against big quarterbacks, a defense cannot ask for permission. It has to invade. I am going to plant my flag on this. Anyone treating the 49ers like a team from the recent past is choosing to look at the league with lazy eyes. This roster still has a core, star power, coaching, physical weight, and now clear signs of adjustment in speed, depth, and pressure. The problem was never a lack of talent, it was turning talent into the final blow. So the demand is this: Santa Clara has to play like a franchise with hunger, not a group waiting for applause because it got close. The window is open, but an open window does not win a ring by itself. If you also think the almost era is over, hit the like, subscribe, and stay locked on 49ers Express.